Whoops, hang on. Yeah. What are we doing? Oh, yeah. Alright, continue.
Nope, okay. When I set out to lead humanity along my golden path, I promised a lesson their bones would remember. I know a profound pattern humans deny with words, even while their actions affirm it. They say they seek security and quiet, conditions they call peace. Even as they speak, however, they create the seeds of turmoil and violence. Leto II, the God Emperor. Welcome back to Dune Saga, everyone. This is Season 3 of our Dune campaign here on the Stolen Fires channel. I am Eric at Modern Recluse Online, your games master for this epic multi-arc adventure series, which continues tonight with our 5th storyline, Leviathan. A very warm welcome and salutation to new and old viewers alike to Stolen Fires channel here on Twitch, where there's always a Let's Play or RPG live play to look forward to. As a content warning, this program does contain adult situations and language and may not be suitable for all ages, so listener discretion is advised. Special music shoutouts go to Pixabay, Infraction, aka Kevin MacLeod for Midnight Tale, Repulsive Sound, The Whole Other, Tabletop Audio, and Blear Moon for the use of their excellent music. You can find more awesome ambient sounds and tunes over at inaudio.org, secretpress.bandcamp.com, music.youtube.com, pixabay.com/music, and SoundCloud. Many thanks to Modifius Entertainment for making awesome games like this for us to play, and we also want to thank Roll20 for the use of their virtual tabletop platform, which is perfect for hosting many games like Dune Adventures in the Imperium. And as always, we want to give a big thanks to our viewers and fans for tuning in. Our house entourage is here and ready to engage in the deadliest of intrigues. Agents of the Imperium, remind our audience who you are, where they can find you online, and who you will be playing this evening. Beginning with Leo.
Hello, my name is Leo. You can find me here on Twitter and here on Twitch at Leo of the Black, and today I'll be playing General Archibald. He is forever going to be, though, the Pirate King.
The Pirate King, absolutely. Key.
Hello, I'm Kisama. You can find me on Twitter at True Kisama. And tonight I am Pardot Reed.
Excellent. Ambrose.
I refuse to believe that you are not Turkey Sama until December. Anyway, hey everybody, I'm Ambrose. My pronouns are he or they. You can find me all over the internet as Am Changeling and on Etsy at Thornkind. My store is blowing up and it's kind of awesome. Thank you all for that. And tonight I will be playing... Oh, I almost said Lysander.
I mean, if you wanna.
Freudian slip.
Plot twist.
It's a sign. I am Lysander inside of Zoshir's skin. That's what it is. Anyway, I'll be playing Zoshir Tamer, whose pronouns are he, him, and he is a Fremen who's now intertwined with House Cheshire in some form or fashion.
And last but not least, of course, Rachel.
Hello, my name is Rachel. You can find me, Stolen Fires, pretty much everywhere. How am I supposed to save the game, Lupine Vendetta? It's me. Yes, you can find me here running Dragon Age, playing Dragon Age. I'm on Twitter, I'm on MySpace, I'm on, Hive, I think is the new hotness. And I play, Lady Daphne, the leader of House Cheshire.
All right, excellent. Now for a very short recap of what occurred in the previous session, if you would be so kind, Ambrose.
Gladly. Deep in the Harkonnen dungeon, Daphne and Norma work to free Hurin, the captured son of a Fremen Naib. He's broad-shouldered, but clearly malnourished, dehydrated, and tortured, and wears the tattered remains of a still suit. Magnetic shackles keep him prisoner behind a force field. The servant who led us here does not know the code to free him. But between Daphne and Norma, they pull together enough technical knowledge to sort out the field. Stepping inside, Daphne notices someone else. No, a dead body, a flechette emerging from his heart. Daphne quickly adjusts the magnetic fields and the man drops to the floor, his shackles clanging. He prevents Daphne from touching the body, and as they escape back to the dumbwaiter, whispers an apology and a prayer. After a series of hair-raising near misses, they arrive at Daphne's quarters where he gets a long drink of water and the chance to recuperate. But then, Norma accuses him of lying. Daphne tries to deflect, but the Bene Gesserit insists he lied about his name. He doesn't deny this, and promises to give his name if we get him to safety. Daphne realizes we're on a time limit. Soon the Harkonnen will find the empty cell. Norma decides to take him back to the Cheshire compound while Daphne remains behind to wrangle the nobles. After sneaking him into a house uniform, Norma gets him on a Thopter home. On the way, he reveals his true name. Stilgar of Siege Tabr. Back to Zoshir and his Fremen. And Alexi's body. The Fremen are inclined to dispose of it by reclaiming his water. But Eloise prefers his body be found to send the proper message. Zoshir worries such would invite further Harkonnen retaliation against the Fremen. Pardot can disguise the cause of death but wants to know, if he went through so much trouble to poison Alexei, why did the Fremen stab him? In the end, Tiberius volunteers. Pardot requests his kidneys be removed, while Eloise hands a packet of melange and asks it to be stuffed into his mouth. Tiberius agrees to these strange requests. In the background, Amira gives Eloise a gift. The DUNE tarot. But Eloise goes briefly pale, reminded of her visions. After taking care of Alexei, Pardot encounters the head housekeeper. Having a hard time thinking of how to pronounce that one.
Shut out.
Shut out? Mapes. Thank you. She's grateful Pardot rid the house of a vermin, but delivers a warning. The whole house is in danger the longer they remain on Arrakis. Well, she's not wrong. After she leaves, Mossam emerges and has an important question for Pardot. His dreams have begun to overwhelm him ever since coming to Arrakis, and he asks Pardot for help in organizing his mind around them. Pardot agrees and begins teaching him basic Mentat techniques. It's time for Tiberius and Zoshir to leave for Hagaharg. After promising to vouch for him there, Tiberius tells Zoshir all he knows of Cheshire's sordid history, including that Mossam is the son of someone named Kyra, a Sayadina from Off-World. That piques Zoshir's interest, and reminds him of the prophecies of the Mahdi. He must learn further. On arrival, the entire Siege has turned out to welcome him, celebrating his success at retrieving the spice bribe. Tiberius makes his desire to join known to them, and his sincerity and willingness to give his own life for the Siege win them over. After exchanging moisture, the Tao begins. This is a rather dignified orgy involving illuminating poison. Zoshir partakes and has visions of himself moving and slithering through sand. He is Shai-Hulud, but he must escape before he suffocates and comes to emerging from the Siege into cold night air. A Fremen couple encounter him, asking if he's alright. Even after Zoshir's reassurances, they press the question. What does he personally want, need for himself? Zoshir has never given that much thought. Zoshir Tamer, they insist, deserves happiness as much as anyone. Wait, these are Zoshir's long-dead parents. They absolve him of his search for justice, urging him to find happiness. Next time he finds the Idwali, those who killed them, he must spare them. Cat. Otherwise, the Fremen will not survive what's coming. These ghosts beg him to find happiness before vanishing. Back to the Highliner captured by the Forgotten Children. Archibald evaluates the situation. Yeva is unhappy, pushing Archibald to devise some plan to save them. Archibald decides to reveal some of his plans to her, insinuating he might make her empress after liberating Tupile. This scandalizes her, upsetting her so much she ends up vomiting into a planter. Freedom, then. Archibald assembles some rudimentary Molotov cocktails. While rummaging for supplies, he finds the ship intercom and hacks it. He also pops open the ventilation system and rigs up some tripwires, using this to lure some pirates to their messy, burning death. But at least now they can steal some weapons and make their way to the navigator. Listening at the door, Archibald and Yeva count 3 besides Captain Reese, one of whom is augmented. After identifying some wiring hostile to cyborgs especially, Archibald makes his grand entrance. He walks in as non-threatening as possible, causing Reese to ask who in the vermilion hells he is, while the rest take aim at Yeva but do not fire. Wait, Reese knows who Archibald Cheshire is. He's who they wanted Reese to kill. Now, why shouldn't the pirate fulfill his contract and claim their payment on Arrakis in unrefined spice? Archibald tries to draw on his years in prison to make common cause with them, but the pirates have been prisoners their whole lives. Archibald switches tactics and asks what makes the Emperor so dangerous. Other than his chome shares. The Sardaukar, of course. Archibald swears he has the means to produce soldiers on par with the Sardaukar, and hints of tensions between the Emperor and House Atreides. While he speaks, Archibald notices Reese put his hand behind his back, signaling the mercenaries. When the navigator asks for assurances, that's when the mercenaries aim at Archibald. Back on Arrakis, Norma, with the help of Pardot, sneaks Stilgar into the compound. Norma decides to be as hospitable as possible and puts him up in Daphne's own quarters. She leaves Stilgar to appreciate the moisture here, to go find a stillsuit and check her listening devices. She comes across a coded dot message from Lady Margot Fenring, who wants to meet as soon as possible. In the morning, Norma decides, with just enough useless information to justify herself. Over on Carthag, Daphne lays awake, processing everything she's been through the past 3 days. Kyra, the nobles, the worm hunt. She's probably impressed House Ronnet and certainly Gliss. Before long, it's time to confer with the other nobles. They meet in the open, cold air, a pavilion with a good view of Carthag's empty streets and Harkonnen justice hanging from street posts. But Nikolai is solicitous of Daphne, and talk quickly turns to their shared task. As they speak, Commander Salgalot and retinue enter the room. Nikolai takes charge of introductions before inviting Salgalot to speak of his experiences. They were working west of the reef, no sign of Fremen, so they worked in peace. They still had a carryall on standby. So as soon as the spotter saw a worm sign, they could begin the evacuation. He called for ornithopters, but the worm came too quickly. There wasn't enough time to dump weight. Machinery and men fell into the worm's maw, and Salgalot had to use a cutter ray on his own leg or die. The ornithopters did save him, and the commander says he's never seen anything like it. He quotes from the Orange Catholic Bible about the great Leviathan to be killed at the end of time. If his plan succeeds, they'll earn a fortune in spice and worm teeth. And that plan will blow the White Death to smithereens.
Excellent. Thank you for reading that, Ambrose, and thank you as always, Rachel, for taking excellent notes. All right. So now that we're a little bit caught up, we have a couple of different options of which way we can go here, because everybody's in a little bit of a situation currently. Daphne was meeting with the other houses at the Harkonnen Citadel in Carthag, and they were discussing plans on how potentially to entrap this worm and hunt it for Raban. Having to play a very delicate dance between these houses and the representatives and Captain Salgalot himself, who apparently will be spearheading this expedition, however dangerous it may be. And then, of course, we have Zoshir and the Fremen, who recently took in Tiberius to Hagaharg to be incorporated into their tribe. A very rare customary rite. And the new charge that has been given Zoshir and his compatriots, his fellow Fremen warriors, to delve deeper into this House Cheshire. After all, from what the Saidinas say of the old legends of the Mahdi would come from outside of Arrakis, and they would be the child of a Bene Gesserit. And as it has been recently revealed to them, Bene Gesserits are quite prominent within House Cheshire's nobility. So there is that to consider. And then, of course, there is the very dirty business that Pardot Reed has recently taken himself part to, which is the elimination of one Harkonnen Mentat. And the undeniable embroilments that will commence once it is known to the Harkonnens that something amiss is occurring at the Arakeen Palace. And then, of course, there is General Archibald, who is currently in a very sticky situation on board a Hayliner and having to make very dangerous, life-changing decisions in the face of possible death or dismemberment. Which one of you would like to go first?
I want to see what happens to Archibald.
One vote for Archibald.
Well, just got volunteered.
I also vote. I need to find out what the mercenaries do.
King?
I need the Pirate King.
I have to know.
Give us the Pirate King. Very good. Welcome back, Archibald. You're just put in the most difficult position since that day on Jabberwock when you were assaulted. There's about 3 of these Tupile pirates, and they're pointing their las guns or their mala weapons, respectively, at your wife, the Countess. Right? These people don't seem to be the kind of individuals that you would attribute to, casual smugglers and pirates in the Imperium. These people are definitely a step above those individuals. They're a step above the ones that you shared cell space with and on the garden when you were in prison for however long you were in prison for. No, these would very easily kill you and your wife without any second thought. They took payment in the form of unrefined spice to murder you. They have every right to kill you right here and right now and take your carcass to Arrakis, where they can receive the rest of their payment. But then there's that factor. They are desperate. They are exiles to the Imperium. Their very existence is illegal. So in a way, you have something on them, but you at the moment are at their mercy. Your house, your entire legacy can end right here, right now. The Guild Navigator wants assurances from you and from your house that you can indeed deliver for the people of Tupile. What do you do? And what do you say in this moment?
I'm going to say, how about this? How about I prove myself to you? I want you. Thing is I was the one that created my training, my regiment, my squadron that I have, my elite squadron. So how about you give me your best fighter, and I'll show you my skills.
Reese is like, you want to join us? That's hilarious, Reese says.
I never said join, but you said you wanted to see my soldiers in action. I'm the creator of them.
You're their leader, supposedly. But general doesn't mean anything to us, however. You simply take people to their deaths. You send them to die. That is your job, isn't it? You watch from on high and you march those young...
Absolutely not. Don't ever put me together with a general like that.
Yeva just kind of sort of rolls her eyes, just like, oh god.
I will never relentlessly just pull soldiers out and try to kill them. I'll never do that.
Would you like to know?
I'll always be on the front lines.
I mean, you want to fight my greatest warrior, whatever. These are very old hat traditions of yours, General. You're not in Imperial territory anymore. The rules no longer apply here. Canling,
I know.
duels of honor, these things don't matter. Not really. You might be a noble, but we are the disinherited children of this Imperium. And we don't recognize this authority, these rules out here.
Oh,
Quite the contrary, in fact.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, but just kind of leans over and spits on the floor. If you're gonna kill me, just do it. And you're fucking boring the shit out of me. Reese is like, oh.
Got fight, don't she?
See why you married her.
Yeah.
Says. Well, he says, and he holds out his hand like this, and one of the cyborgs reaches over and puts something in his hand. You recognizes it as a cutter. Basically, this is a las gun, but has very, very limited range. And what what it's intended to do is to it's for industrial or medical use. You know, like this thing can cut through steel like a hot knife through butter. He activates it, and there's just like this plume of blue fire that comes out of it. And he knows, you know, that if he applies this to any one of you, the skin will boil at first, and then just slow off of your bones. And then as soon as it goes through your bones, it'll just saw them and cauterize the wound instantly. And he's like, which one of you would like to go first? And he's like, if he wants assurances, he looks over to the navigator, we have to talk in the one language that everyone understands. Melange, do you have it? Because we are expecting to get Lots of it, if we take your body to Arrakis. Then it said nothing about your lovely wife, however. I suppose we could let her live. In one piece or in pieces, however you wish. However much you want to cooperate, of course. That solely depends on you. So what will it be, General? What assurances do you have for us today? Does House Liberius have more than what we're being promised? We might be persuaded to not take your corpse to Arrakis.
Oh, Lord. That was my plan B. They didn't buy it.
Oh, you had a plan B? What was plan B?
All right. Let me look at something real quick.
You see as you're like, you're sweating and you're just like not sure what to do here, and Yeva's like, "Come on, Archie, it's now or never." The navigator swimming in the tank sort of like makes eye contact with you and then looks over at Yeva and starts to speak.
I got something else.
I'm not buying it. You see, Reese says, and he goes over to saw off Yeva's hand with the cutter, and then the navigator's like, "Stop, wait," and he looks over to Archibald. "Speak."
I have atomics.
Reese blinks and looks over to the navigator, who also kind of does a side eye to him. "Continue," the navigator says.
Let's make a deal. I have resources you do not. I can help you liberate Tupile.
Reese shuts off the cutter, just inches away from Yeva's sweating face. "Go on, I'm listening."
I'll do it, and I will help you. And the thing is, I want to liberate Tupile. I think it's wrong what they've done to you, especially punishing you for something you didn't do.
Does Archibald honestly believe that?
Yes, he does actually. One of the biggest things about him is that literally the same thing happened to him.
So
he
you're
kind of
noble,
confided in that.
right? And they were exiled to this place by nobility. So that you automatically have a barrier to overcome when it comes to their level of trust that you're trying to reach. Give me a communications role of your life to convince them that you mean business and that you actually feel empathy for the exiled of Tupile.
All
and
right.
the difficulty will be 3.
3? All
Typical
right.
standard would be 2, and then I figure it's difficulty 1 because of a trait. We're gonna say because they distrust you by nature.
Do we got any? I'm pretty sure we got some awesome momentum, right? I think we got momentum, right?
You have 4. You have 4 momentum currently.
So I'm going to use a freaking momentum right now to make it 3
If you use
dice.
1, you're gonna get a 3rd dice to roll.
Yep, and then I will use the determination point if this fails.
Now,
So-
I would imagine this has to do with truth because you're being honest, and they by default don't believe
Okay.
you.
Gotcha. I will use truth. Truth is a good one. I have communicate.
You have a statement for truth?
You will know me by my deeds. So yes.
Excellent. Okay, go ahead and roll those dice.
So I can use a focus on this.
Yes, you can.
Come on.
That is 1 success.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. If
Would you like to spend a determination point now?
Yes, I will.
You've
Spend
got
it.
an 18 and a 19 as well?
Yep.
Oh, there will be complications in this plan, I can assure you.
Yep.
Several.
I am using a determination point
the way that you carry yourself when you tell them, like, look, I understand your plight. I had, just like you, I had no choice. I was thrust into this life, and this is what I had to make of it in order to survive. You're all survivors. And you kind of like, for a moment, you see that you have Reese's utmost attention, and he sees something of a kindred spirit in you. You didn't choose what you are. He didn't choose to be in this position. He just happened to be born of a line of nobility that was exiled. So when you tell him that you have atomics and you have resources that they do not possess, and that you can assist them, that you feel for them, he believes you in that moment. However incredulous that may be, he stops the cutter and he looks to the others, and he kind of makes this notion, and they kind of give you guys a little bit of breathing space. The navigator floats towards you, and you see your reflection warped on his plasteel cage, his tank. The name Cheshire, your family. I have seen things on Arrakis, and it involves your family. The guild knows there is something about your house, about House Cheshire and House Atreides, that will impact the Imperium. But the answers to these questions are not known. You must share with us. And Reese adds to that, says, yes, so maybe you can share what you know about your family with our navigator friend here. Meanwhile, I think there's a way where we can both benefit from the situation, General. And he motions for the cyborg to allow Yeva to stand on her own power. I think there's a way that we can all walk away from this, perhaps better prepared than we were when we first stepped into this situation. But first, you have to understand that we live by very different means than you do. So a lot of these people here, a lot of the nobility, the Chom representatives of the guild that are not necessary for the function of this vessel, well, they're going to get spaced. Because it is what they deserve, after all. You will be spared, of course, but you'll have to come with us. Because where we're going, we're still planning on getting our money's worth from the person who put the contract out on you. Yeva is just like, who the hell was it, that fucking Duchess? Was it her? He's like, no, it was a man. Something was wrong with his face, though. Like he was injured. He was wrapped in bandages, bloodied. They said that they were working for someone named Amalat. Willala. I don't. And you see Yeva is like, Omelas. That's the one. Yes. Yes, the man with the bandaged face brought and he kicks the big case of unrefined spice at the base of the tank. He's the one who paid us. And he's reportedly worked for some sneaky bastard named Omelas. Oh well. Well, there's a way that we can walk away from this alive, General. How good are you at playing dead? And now we return to Arrakis, where time is going to pass so that we're all caught up together on the same planet.
Out of character. I fucking knew it. I knew it. Sorry, go on.
All right. So back on Arrakis, we have a couple different situations that need to be engaged in before we move on to this next portion. Before we all reconvene at the palace in Arakeen. Which one of you is next? No volunteers. but I have all this threat to dump on you. Okay, I guess I'll have to volunteer someone instead. I see you shrinking into the background, Daphne. Let's begin with you, shall we?
Oh, okay.
So you've met with these nobles on the Harkonnen Citadel, and they all, this is hours before dawn. This is the coolest part of the day on Dune. Salgalat is regaling all of you with these horrid tales of his encounter with the White Death, the Leviathan, and how he lost his entire crew in the Harvester to this beast. At a certain point, the Harkonnen servants come out and they serve spiced coffee. The rest of the gathered representatives of the houses all start to talk with one another, include yourself in these conversations. What are we going to do about this thing? And from what you've heard Salgalat say, he plans on blowing up the worm in some manner, but he isn't going into details as of right now. But he alludes to the fact that the houses individually and your specialties may be of use in some way. And so some of them are talking about potentially using the different talents of the houses, like the agricultural house, for example, is talking about potentially using something to lure the worm away, maybe a decoy harvester, or perhaps developing some kind of a something that they can introduce into the sand, into the local environment, that might be able to poison the worm or something of that nature. And there's talk of this and that, and like one of the other houses who's involved mainly with industrial design. They're talking about potentially redesigning the harvester. Since they have a few months, they might be able to put together a prototype, one that perhaps uses hover technology, so it never touches the sand and doesn't disrupt the sand in that manner, doesn't attract the worms in the first place. Perhaps using some sort of a vacuum system.
Is it widely known that like rhythmic thumping attracts worms?
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of any kind of noise, anything within the proximity of sand is sure to send vibrations of some sort and inevitably bring a sandworm to the surface.
Well, if it's scouting you need, that's what our ornithopters are well known for. They're fast, maneuverable. I don't know that we could accommodate the sort of payload that I suspect would be necessary to effect this sort of plan, but I can speak to our engineers and see what we can come up with.
They all nod in agreement. So you see Nikolai, the nobleman representative of, let me get this name real quick because there's a lot of characters, of House Gliss. House Gliss being the one that is responsible mainly for the, 1 minute. Where are you? They are the ones that deal with the political and canly aspects of the houses. They're like, we could perhaps put something within the Landsraad in the next few weeks, a resolution perhaps that can perhaps crack the whip on the other houses to perhaps get them involved in the situation on Arrakis, since of course the spice must flow and it affects, whether it does so or not, affects all of the houses, all of the Imperium. Perhaps we can put in a special resolution to try to get some additional help on this particular endeavor.
Who would you think would be most likely to accede to some request?
Well, there are talks that there is a very powerful, a very popular duke within the Landsraad. A lot of people have been talking about in rumors and whispers. Some say he will inherit this place after the Harkonnens. However, there is another name that is floating a lot around in the political hemisphere, if you will, and that is your name, Your Grace. Perhaps, if you would afford me the time, myself and my entourage can make our way to the King Palace, and we can perhaps draft a resolution together.
I would like that.
Ah, splendid. When would be a good time to do this?
Well, we would certainly want enough time to make ready the palace to receive a delegation of your status. So, would 3 days' time suffice?
3 days' time is more than sufficient time, of course. According to what we've heard so far, it seems that we have a few months at least to get this underway, which coincidentally, I think, matches very accurately with the exit strategy of the Harkonnens for leaving Arrakis. Quite the coincidence, I would say, yes?
Is it known that they're leaving?
Ah, this is, it is known within the Imperium that the Harkonnens are on their way out. If you've been to Kaitain within the last few months, you probably would have heard rumors about this, but this is a very real thing that is happening within the next few months, absolutely.
Who will replace them?
Perhaps I can tell you over dinner.
Perhaps you can.
Very well then. In 3 days, I shall see you soon. A good day to all of you, and thank you for the excellent spice coffee, he says to the local servant, who just sort of bows and takes his drink. And him and his entourage just sort of walk out, and they disappear behind the entryway back into the citadel. The other nobles are just sort of like busy, like jabbering with each other. What do you want to do?
I would like to make a roll. I would like to know what Nikolai's status in his house is.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah, go ahead and give me an understand roll.
I assume house politics would apply.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
Oh, shit! That's 4 successes.
Wow. Okay. So, that was a good roll. I'm gonna give you 2 additional momentum, so you're up to 5 now. That was an excellent roll. He is very well known within the political establishment in the Landsraad. He is the envoy, or he's a retainer for the house. He is the son of now deceased Rina, that's Rina, and Boris. And he's the envoy to this very minor noble house called House Gliss. Give me a where do you have observation? Is that under discipline?
Let me bring my sheet back up.
Sure.
Yes, discipline.
Give me a discipline roll, and I'm gonna tell you the difficulty now. 1 second. Okay. 1 second.
Jesus Christ!
Wow.
Roll 20 lets me tonight. I'm going to suffer later.
Okay. 1 second. Gotta make sure there we go. 1 second. Discipline. Truth. And yes. Okay. Let's say 3. And yes. You got a 4? Did you want to spend more momentum, or did you want to spend a determination? But this is because you're trying to determine details about Nikolai.
Mm-hmm.
There's a detail here, but you can't get it unless you either spend momentum or spend a determination point with the current successes that you have.
Oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now I'm tempted. Would this point be used in direct service of the house?
I'll say sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll say that's fine.
Because that's one of my talents that I never use, but I'm going to use it now.
Okay. All right. So, that would give you 6 successes. You spend a determination point, and that's quite good. Something interesting about Nikolai when the coffee was served, he took off his gloves to better handle the fine china, as it were. You notice something, their hyper awareness kicked in automatically, your training kicked in, and you notice something interesting about the ends of his fingertips. They're weathered and burned. Like the fingerprints are almost like completely gone. It's an odd thing, odd detail, but it could be the signs of addiction. Specifically, something like Samuda, which you've heard of here in Arrakis predominantly. It's throughout. You've seen it a lot through the Imperium, but it's very prominent here on Arrakis.
Oh, it came up first season. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
One second. Secret messages. Okay.
The worn away fingertips, like would that be something that someone might conceivably do to themselves to like fuck up their fingerprints so they can't be identified, like if someone was trying to change their identity?
Yes.
I don't like how you answered that. Okay. Oh, Rachel has theories, but Daphne doesn't have enough information.
Is there anything that you wanted to do while you were up here with the other noblemen, or did you have plans outside of the next 3 days, up until leading up to this meeting that you're supposed to have in Arakeen? Or did you want to go to Arakeen before those 3 days are up?
Oh yeah, no, the 3 days is to give me time to deal with the Fremen fugitive before
The musical chairs with Stilgar?
arrives.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. The rest of the morning goes by without too much excitement. Salgalat excuses himself because ever since the incident with the Leviathan, he's having to go back to the medical center, which is near the Citadel, to get like regular maintenance work done on his leg and everything like that, and to take drugs for the pain. So after he finishes his spiced coffee, he's like, yeah, I'll share more details with you later, and he gets up and waddles out with his cane.
One more thing I'd like to do is sort of just like start spitballing and gossiping with the other houses a little bit.
Sure.
I want to know how committed they are to this. Like, are they gonna go all out? Are they going to like, well, as long as we essentially like get a C on the assignment, that's fine.
Yeah, some of these houses are definitely phoning it in. Like Nuri Randama, after her incident at the dinner, Raban's dinner table with the snakes and shit, with the viper attack. Like, she's just like, I don't want anything to deal with, House Arcona. Like, I wouldn't be here if my house didn't send me here to do this. So she's very much like, and she was one of the ones who voiced initially like, I don't want anything. We shouldn't even be doing this. The other houses, on the other hand, specifically the where are they? Let me get the houses' names. House Raunet. They were very interested in. One second. Let me get the names right because I screwed that up. Come on. Where are they? Here we go. The House Chol, responsible for the industrial and farming aspect, they're all in. Like, yeah, we'll work with the Harkonnens and we'll figure out some way to like mine the spice without the Sandworms. They're trying to find a way to circumvent the issue. Of course, House Gliss is looking for a political angle to try to get additional assistance from other houses from outside the Arrakis. Probably having to do with money, like, hey, we'll bring you on the cutting room floor if you help us out or whatever. House Halden, which is known for espionage work and their work in the sciences, are more like, what if we were able to do something to the sand that would, repel the worm as opposed to allow it to come through, like maybe changing the consistency of the sand, you know what I mean? Like, is it Is it if the worms avoid the rock? Couldn't we potentially do something to the sand to keep it away from the spice fields? Create a moat, perhaps, or something like that. You know, they're just spitballing shit. House Roundnet, the religious/industrial house that was trying to work with House Chol in developing like a new kind of harvester that sucks up the spice in a different manner. Are they're all in. They're all like, no, the god will see us through this. And, like they're the representative for the house, a Marwin Stib, is very obviously a Nava Christian. And you could roll if you have like a religious focus, or if you just want to roll on understand, you could potentially understand. Like, you can potentially know like where she's coming from that angle, because you already started to make inroads with her initially when you were like, "Yes, I agree with you. God will see us through with this." And da 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 da.
I will make that understand roll.
Sure.
I don't think I have any focuses, and I'm not spending momentum.
Nah, not necessary.
Oh, Jesus.
With a complication. You think the Nava Christians have something to do with like space Jesus theory or something like that? Like they believe like there are multiple Jesuses, and like you remember hearing a joke about it very early on, like they often ridiculed, and now you're kind of like, maybe I shouldn't have agreed with them in the first place. That might have been a bad mood on my part. Might have been a bad move. But that's what you get initially when you see like, oh yeah, they're literally wearing their religion on them, like in the form of like multiple like necklaces and charms and things like that hang off of their wrists.
Someone needs to loop Daphne in on the Mahdi prophecies so I can interpret that correctly.
But that's what you have when interacting with these particular noblemen and women.
Okay.
So, if you didn't have anything specific to do at the Sarkonnen Citadel within the next couple days, you can easily take an ornithopter and head back to Arakeen whenever you want. You probably need the rest of the day to sleep though, and probably leave later this evening because you have had a very long week.
Yes.
And a very long 24 hours to say the least. Like by the time the meeting is over and the sun's coming up over Carthag, like your eyes are bleary and you're having a hard time just hiding the fact that you're exhausted. But you manage to do so with grace, and you get back to your quarters, and you can take as much time as you want or need to recover before you head back to Arakeen.
Sounds good.
All right. And now for
I'm gonna tell Dr. Sloan the plan to leave in the evening.
Oh, yes. Okay. He'll accompany you, of course. And he's like, oh, very well. Make sure to get your rest. And I'll help you pilot the thopter back. Meanwhile, back in Arakeen, Pardot Reed, you have recently received some information from Jabberwock. And you've received word that Dr. Sloan and Daphne will be arriving via ornithopter later this evening. It's a new day in Arakeen. And apparently there's another ornithopter arriving currently just outside the perimeter of the palace. It's those Fremen again. So Tamir, Nalia, and Hurdy depart the Thopter. It's been a full 24 hours after the Tau orgy took place, and your mind is reeling from the questions that you have been asking yourself. Accompanying you, of course, is or actually you were already here. No, you left and went to Hagaharg, and then now you're coming back a day later or so. Is what we'll say, because you were here previously when you were dealing with the whole Harkonnen Mentad unpleasantness. So you arrive back on the palace, and you're seen by the Cheshire forces. They have like these berets, and they call themselves the Queen's Hearts. They belong to some guy named Lysander. Who knows who that guy is? They escort you into the palace, and they walk you in, and they're like, this way. We need to get you introduced to the house personnel here if you're going to be spending some time here. You're speaking to the house commander. the security commander, who is underneath the mentat that you met the other day, the one who helped you carry out this unpleasantness with the Harkonnen mentat, Alexei Gim, a man by the marshal by the name of Pardot Reed. Pardot, you are up at the crack of dawn. You get your residual antidote, as you typically do per day, and then you are brought a report by your security commander. And basically, he gives you the lowdown, like, this is where everybody's at, this is what we know at this time, how would you like us to proceed? Basically, Archibald we don't know where he's at. He and his countess have left the palace, and they've been gone for the better part of a week, at least. Last known location, they were booking a flight aboard a Hayliner to a planet called Caladan, which you automatically remember is the home to House Atreides, a house that is reportedly supposed to take over, from what you've heard from the whispers among the servants within the palace. Daphne is in Carthag handling business with the Harkonnens. Eloise, you see, they inform you, left the palace very early this morning, apparently very upset. And Amira, her bodyguard protector, was trailing behind her. They apparently got into a ground car and left immediately. Or actually, they got into a thopter and they left for the guild embassy in Arakeen, effective immediately. Some unpleasant business taking place over there, you imagine. You imagine this has something to do with that dead Harkonnen mentat that was left out in Arakeen Square to be discovered. And as far as Mossam and the other groups of the house, they're here on Arakeen, sans Dr. Sloan, who's still accompanying Daphne in Carthag. The only one who has returned from there is Reverend Mother Norma, who seems to be, doing what Norma normally does, which is like knock on a few doors and then disappear, and then whisper over here and disappear. So she's kind of like a ghost haunting the palace confines of the Arakeen Palace. So. And you hear, in addition to this, the security commander is like, oh, and by the way, the 3 Fremen from out there have arrived very early this morning, sir. We've brought them into the residential. We brought them into the where I'm looking for here, into the into the dining room area, on the common dining room area for a briefing of sorts. They haven't met everybody here. How would you like to proceed?
How many hours have passed since Eloise has left for the guild embassy?
It's been a few hours.
Send a representative of the Health and Safety Commission, incognito, to keep tabs.
Miss Cheshire and her bodyguard?
Yes.
Hmm.
To the embassy.
Sir, a word. Tiberius, sir. He's not been sighted since he left with the Fremen.
What?
Oh, I thought you knew, sir. He accompanied the Fremen outside the confines of the city. He has not yet returned. Would you like me to question the Fremen that arrived this morning, or would you like to do so personally?
I shall do so personally.
Ah, very good, sir. I shall accompany you then. He waits for you to proceed however you wish. I imagine that the way Pardot starts every day is after he finishes his litany and takes his sappho juice, he walks with his hands clasped behind his back, and he just walks the hallways of the palace, taking everything in and just sort of processing it.
Yes.
Yes.
Entire compound, entire palace. He monologues to himself in his mind the entire time.
Oh, perfect.
Just lengthy, oh, the state of man.
This is Lynchian internal monologue with the whisperiness, and you pass by Mossam. Could he be the one? Sure. Yeah, you walk the halls, and you kind of like think to yourself, and you let the Fremen stew in the dining room for a while before you eventually make your way over. You do notice something interesting though. The lady and the count and his lady, Count Fenring and his wife or his concubine, you're not sure. They actually live within the palace itself. They live in the familial bedrooms, not too far away from where you typically reside in the guest bedrooms wings of the palace. You see Lady Fenring meeting and talking with Norma, and behind Norma is Mossam, and she brings Mossam with Lady Fenring, and they sort of disappear around a corner, and they go up the stairwell away from where you're going, towards the office or the where they where Count Fenring and his lady reside. Did you or say anything, or you just kind of quietly take it in and just file it away somewhere?
Just gonna take a mental note of that. I think by instinct, after these past few weeks, Pardot turns over his shoulder to say something to Tiberius, and he's just gone. So he just kind of, right,
Like, oh.
just file it away into my mind palace and continue with my day as planned.
All right.
I did not see Norma. It's fine.
It's fine. You eventually head down to greet your guests, as it were. The security commander informs you as you're walking and talking to the dining room, like, as I understand, these Fremen, according to what Tiberius had said in his last report, they are to be allies of some sort, since they assisted us with this whole Harkonnen unpleasantness. Also, they are critical witnesses to what occurred. I imagine them to be incredible security risks that we need to keep our eyes on. Would you say, sir?
Incredible risks. They are blunt instruments compared to the rest of our tools at our disposal.
I'm not so sure. They were quite precise in how they dissected that. I say too much. Please proceed. And he opens the door for you, and the head of household greets you as on your way in, and does this sort of like weird thing with her hands that you don't quite understand, and leaves and summons more help to attend your guests. Zashir and Hurdy and Nalia are in the dining room. How do they conduct themselves surrounded by all this finery, with water abundantly available on the table for you as part of a prelude to breakfast?
Is the water covered?
No.
Zoshir would try and make sure it was covered with either a napkin or something a little more substantial to prevent evaporation.
You see Hurdy's just like, look at all this water. Can you believe these people? It's such a waste.
This is ridiculous.
Nalia's like, are you sure these are our allies?
I'm starting to wonder.
And just then the doors open, and in comes Pardot Reed.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Pardot takes a moment to just read the room as best as he can, try and get the emotional states of everyone in the room, trying to pick up on how do they, right, first thing, the glasses with the covers on them, that's not normal. So they did this and just running a mile a minute. Hurdy's wide-eyed looking at the glasses. She's intrigued. Zoshir's indifferent at best. So he's not appreciative of it. There was a third person in the room. How are they reacting?
They are,
as Pardot walks in.
In a word, they're stoic. They're just nothing phases them. Stone face.
Okay. Very clearly, he's going to be an issue later. Take a note of that. File that away in the Mind Palace.
She has scars.
Yes.
Weathered
Okay.
look.
She is going to be a problem later. I feel it. The calculations. All of this going on in like 3 seconds of silence.
Yeah.
Pardot continues the conversation. I hope your travel here was pleasant.
It was. Are you one of the Cheshire family?
Not by blood. I am Pardot Reed. I believe we have met once before.
Hardy says, I've heard that name before.
That was Kynes. Pardot Kynes.
Sorry. Yeah, continue, please.
This is clearly not the great Pardot Kynes.
Clearly.
I am but a humble mentat. Anyways.
You see, the security commander sees that as a cue and like motions to the guards at either end of the dining room. They just they turn around, they close the doors. You're in a private audience now, and the security commander, if you wish it, Pardot, you can dismiss him. Otherwise, the only people in this room are you all and the security commander, of course.
In addition to reading the room every couple of seconds, Pardot is going to glance at the security commander just to see if he reacts in any way that's strange when the information is put down on the table, like if the mention of what happened to Alexei comes up and he suddenly gets then that's suspicious. File that away in the Mind Palace, right? I'm trying to, while interrogating Zoshir and the rest of the Fremen, also interrogate my own security commander just to make sure.
Let me give you his name.
They're very tense times.
Because this is going to be, going forward, this is probably going to be a name that you see come up a couple times. His name is, and my pace isn't working. Okay. His name is Security Captain Jaromir Hajan. I promise you I will copy and paste his name into the Discord. So there we
Captain
go.
Hajan.
Now it's working. Yeah, Captain Jaromir Hajan. Young guy, maybe like in his late 30s or so, mid to late 30s at best. Fairly young guy, but promising. And he's just he's paying the utmost attention to what you're doing and what you're saying while you're here in the dining room. Oh, one thing he did tell you, by the way, he did inform you that Norma brought somebody in from Carthag that wasn't Dr. Sloan, and they're currently in Daphne's room. But they suspect that it might be a captive or something like that. They're not sure. Norma's things.
Yes.
Norma's circus,
Norma's monkeys, yes.
Exactly.
I would like to personally thank you for your assistance in regards to dealing with our mutual problems. The Harkonnen Mentat was difficult at best. But our work there surely is not done.
No, I agree there. It would be better if the Harkonnen were not on Arrakis.
We can discuss removing the Harkonnens indefinitely in a moment. First, I must ask, an agent of mine, codenamed Tiberius, has seemingly gone missing.
Tiberius had requested to join my siege.
Pardot's like mid sip of a glass of water to wash down his sappho juice, and he like spits out the water onto the table. Hearing
Purdy is just like, this is heresy, no.
Oh, my apologies. My apologies.
Such a waste.
I have the greatest hopes for him and the rest of your siege. But I would like to request that you inform Agent Tiberius that he is not yet relieved of his duties to House Cheshire. We have no issue with his dual loyalty as far as it stands, but as far as I am concerned, he is still an agent of House Cheshire.
What did he mean to you? Or does?
And at this, Pardot turns to Captain Hajan and gives a nod. Like a moment of privacy, please, Captain. Like that nod.
Okay. He turns around and excuses himself, shuts the door behind him.
Consider this the sharing of the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, an act of goodwill on behalf of House Cheshire and of myself. Tiberius, up until the moment I met him, meant absolutely nothing. I did not know he existed. I did not know Tiberius existed within the House planet. In fact, I was Tiberius for several months until the declaration of Tiberius, his resignation, and subsequent execution. As far as I am aware, after this, Tiberius will be dead, whether or not he walks or not, if you catch my meaning.
Purdy kind of like... Okay, sorry, go ahead.
What he means to me currently is that he is an individual who's able to do the things I cannot do to the Harkonnens. Other than that, our arrangement here is an accident at best. An unfortunate mishap. You will not hear me say I had an unfortunate mishap often, I assure you. I am investing quite a bit of trust into you here.
Nalia comments, that was quite an explanation. And you heard he kind of like, tugs at your sleeve, Zoshir, and goes, yeah, that's totally what he was. And she kind of goes,
Kill Key.
Wipe me from the face of Arrakis there for a second. Okay.
Zoshir will just like put a hand on Hurdy's head. I'm not quite sure what you're getting at. However, I am seeing that Tiberius was someone special to you. But it seems clear that you will disown him for becoming Fremen.
another waste, you see, Nalia says. He's a good warrior.
I
Indeed he
fear
is.
I may have misspoken. I am not disowning him once he becomes Fremen. I am disowning him once the Harkonnen are dead. As per our arrangement. Again, I have no problem with his dual loyalties, as long as he understands that he is not disowned yet.
Ah. Well, seeing as how we are going to be working together to remove the Harkonnen, that should not be a problem.
Excellent. Which brings us to a much more pressing matter of business. The next Harkonnen we deal with. Now, I have not yet had the opportunity to gather information regarding other agents of the Harkonnens on Arrakis. If you by chance know of any particular officers, lieutenants who have been giving you and your siege difficulties within the desert, then those should be our next targets.
Oh, we don't have need for permission necessarily for that. We constantly give them difficulties for existing on our sacred ground. However, I would like to pose that we are more valuable to you than just hitmen. We move unnoticed. We know things about Arrakis that you can only dream. We can teach you proper care of your water. We can teach you how to conserve and connect with Arrakis. It's spiritual in a way. I know. I recognize this, but it is true.
A peculiar proposition. One I will need to contemplate. For now, you are... Consider this the greatest compliment I can bestow. You are my most ideal hitman. If the efforts I am willing to go to ensure that I have Tiberius as anything to go off of, none are just hitmen under my employ.
Compliment is accepted and appreciated.
So are we Tiberius now? You see her, he says, like, making a motion to the three Fremen.
Another pat from the unremoved hand upon Herdy's head.
I'm imagining Herdy says this, and then the camera zooms in on Pardot's face, and he starts going a mile a minute. Just like, this plan, this tactic. I've seen this before. I've used this before. I know this tactic. This tactic is perfect. 1 Tiberius is excellent. 5, 7, 12 Tiberii?
Immortal.
Excellent.
They can't be killed.
The immortal Tiberius will be a scourge upon the Harkonnens. They will know no mercy from Tiberius. Yes, this is perfect. All I must do is produce helmets.
Could be like Duncan, Idaho.
There is something. I understand that you are a particular You have a purpose within the House Cheshire, yes?
Pardot takes another like half second to register that a sentence is being said to him as he's going through his plan, and he just blinks. Yes, I do indeed serve a purpose. Up until very recently, I was both, depending on the circumstance, Marshal and War Master. Not simultaneously, of course. Now I'm the House Mentat. Why do you ask?
There's a group of Fremen that I hold no particular love for. But if you are as intelligent enough to be a Mentat, perhaps you could think of a way to convince them to work with us against the Harkonnen. They are brutal. They are bloodthirsty. And they are not well known to you outframe outsiders.
Nalia grabs your arm. I don't like where you're going with this. No more.
Nalia, it was seen.
She looks over her shoulder at Pardot. He is outframed. He is not to know of these things.
All the better for him to be the one to deal with them, and not us.
They choose whether to deal with us or not. We don't have a choice with the Dwali.
Yes, and for years, decades, centuries, we have not known how to get them under control, how to get them to work with us. Perhaps the mind of an outframe is what we need.
I'll trust you in this.
Good. Someone has to.
But we should be careful with giving them access to all of our secrets.
Well, if we don't like the ones who have those secrets, we can just reclaim their water.
Easier said than done. She kind of steps aside, lets you continue with the Pardot.
Apologies. Nolly and I were deciding how badly to scare you about these other Fremen. They are known as Itwali. They are murderers. They kill for no reason. But due to some visions, it would seem that they're necessary to remove the Harkonnen from Arrakis.
You get looks from Nalia and Hurdy. Both actually make a symbol, a sign over their heads when you say the Idwali, like almost like a. You instinctively think Pardot like they're making a gesture when Zoshir says the name, like to ward off evil spirits or something like that. Some sort of like, it must be something born out of superstition or cult, some part of their culture. It's like as soon as he says the Dwali, they like make this notion over their heads, like with both hands, a warding gesture.
Also, it would seem that, and this is out of character, Zoshir has no urge to do this symbol at all. Like, just it's almost as if he's numb.
Mm-hmm.
What are you proposing? That we form an alliance with murderers to assist us in removing the Harkonnens?
Oh, certainly. And for every one of them that falls, less of a problem for me.
Give me a discipline roll, Pardot. Make it a good one.
Ah. A discipline roll.
Yeah, an observation if you have it as a focus.
Not have observation. Boy. Call it truth for a drive.
Sure.
2 dice. Focus. An astounding 2 successes.
That's what you needed. Okay. Nalia and Hurdy are visibly nervous. The moment Zoshir started talking about the Adwali and the very idea of engaging them in some sort of an alliance. Like they are just like they're like ready to jump out of their skins. But they are the what you've heard of the Fremen and like their stoicness and like everything, and like they're maintaining that as much as possible, but you can tell like they can't wait to grab Zoshir, pull him out of this room and go, what the fuck are you talking about? We're gonna make a deal with you. Are you nuts?
These Itwali, they are simply wanton murderers, or are they thieves?
Thieves, Nalia and Hurdy say simultaneously. The worst kind.
Then perhaps, instead of approaching them as allies, we should approach them as we would wolves. Or so I've read.
One analogy.
Do you have wolves on this planet? I feel I should ask. I've yet to do research regarding the fauna of Arrakis.
I think I've seen a wolf once, Hurdy says, or maybe it was a really big dog they were breeding in that siege. I don't remember.
As predators. Hurdy is as predators.
Yeah.
As
I think so.
And indeed, Master Reed approached them as they were predators and not allies. He'll look at Nalia and go, see, I told you he'd get it.
She breathes a sigh like, are we truly finished here? She looks over to you, Pardot, and to Zoshir.
Zoshir will look to Pardot.
Almost, but not quite. You had said, rather asked, if you were Tiberius now. I would like to propose that you are. All of you.
Hurdy's like, okay.
All the 3 of you, and any others in your siege who are willing to fight this battle.
Do we get masks?
Yes.
Yes.
So she's like, just did what I did basically with the hand on the forehead, like, oh my god.
If you
Excellent.
require any other more specialized equipment, do not hesitate to request the equipment.
Indeed. Now, before you meet any other Fremen, I would suggest lessons on desert etiquette, water etiquette. Just putting that out there.
Security Captain Hajan walks in. Marshal Reed, what is the title he used? Master Mossam is here. Opens the door and then walks the boy. This entirely captures your attention, Zoshir. Like you're like laser focused now on this boy who's walking in, fair haired, little dark skin. He walks in, he just sort of takes in the room. And it's strange, like when you first meet and you see each other, there's something that happens. You don't quite know how to put it into words. I would imagine the Fremen don't have a term for like deja vu or something to that effect, but like you feel like you've been in this moment before many, many, many times, where you've met Masum. Like he's not like, this isn't the first time you're meeting him. It's a very odd sensation, but you know in your mind like you've never seen this kid before, like. But he seems to have it as well. Like you both sort of look at each other, and he kind of like he looks at you for a long moment, like, I know you. And he says so out loud before he realizes, like, I know you, don't I? We've met? And he looks over at Pardot. Have we not been introduced before? Marshall Reed.
Not to my knowledge.
My apologies, he says to the three Fremen. I must have dreamt it, he says, and he sits down at the table. Hajan closes the door. We're gonna pass time here for a moment. In this time, Daphne can return to Arakeen from Carthag. Daphne, you walk into your bedroom and you catch this Fremen that they've been keeping in here in the middle of changing into a still suit. One that was undoubtedly delivered to him by Norma, perhaps to make him feel more at home. It's only been 24 hours, so he's still somewhat fragile, and he sees you coming in, and he's like, he doesn't seem to be any shy or anything like that. He's just like, it's all hanging out, and he's like putting squeezing into his still suit. It's like, oh, you've arrived.
So Norma did not warn Daphne about this. And so Daphne is probably like halfway through like hanging up her face jewelry, taking her scarf off before she realizes there's someone in her bedroom, and just goes on high alert and who the what are you doing here?
This is where Norma, your reverend mother, brought me. Is this not where I was supposed to go?
Oh. No, forgive me. That is a very Norma thing of her to do. It is Huron, or it is not Huron. I suppose Norma already knows your name.
She does, but you do not. And he kind of like leans on a chair and slides in, like, and he kind of makes a motion like, close the door. He's like,
it's
I am to be
probably already closed.
Oh, okay. He's like, my name is Stilgar, and I'm a leader among my people. I need to get word to my home, to my siege Tabir, on the other side of the shield wall. Can you do this for me, please?
Give me a second.
Thank you. He's like, once I am able to walk under my own power, I shall not be a burden to you or your tribe.
You are not a burden. I think rescuing a leader of the Fremen has hurt the Harkonnen, along with saving your life.
One can only hope. But I have important business that I have to attend to back in my siege. The sooner I can get there, the sooner I can complete my business there. And begin my business here, perhaps.
Indeed. Is there anything you require? Food, water?
Yes. Please.
Yeah, Daphne will ring a servant.
He eats, because he has not eaten in some time. Probably several weeks, judging by the look of him. You're discreet in how you bring the food in and everything like that, but after he's finished, he's like, I thank you. I think You have I am indebted to you many times over for this.
I am a leader as well. I would like to know something. When we saw you, Norma mentioned a name, and you recognized it.
Kyra.
Yes.
She is like I am, a Naib. Except she is also Sayadina, which is very rare to see. But I know of her, yes.
Are you allies?
Not at the moment. No.
Are you enemies?
No, we are not enemies either.
Well, I would certainly like us to be allies.
I think we already are. With that, he stands up to stretch his legs a little bit. A little bit of time is going to go from here on out. He still needs some time to recover before he can leave under his own power, but we'll say the better part of a week goes by, and then a Hayliner pulls into Arrakis. And they send word to you, Daphne, at the palace. Security Captain Hajan walks in. Your Grace, I'm very sorry to give you these news, but well, here. And he brings you and he gives you a scroll to read it, unfurl it. It's like it has the official seal of the guild on it. You unfurl it. It says, we are sorry to inform you that Archibald Cheshire and his wife, Countess Yeva Schumann, Archibald Livius, and subsequent name for Librius and for Yeva, have both deceased on their trip to on their return back to Caladan.
What?
Their bodies are being held at the local starport in Arakeen. They're ready to receive, and whenever you're ready to receive them for whatever services you need to perform, they are ready and waiting for you at the starport. Their demise currently is unknown. That's where we're going to go on break. We'll be right back in about 10 minutes. The time is now 12:47 Eastern Standard Time. We shall return at 12:57. we have returned. We've come back from our break. Where we last left off, Archibald and his lovely countess died somewhere in transit from the where the space pirates had captured them aboard the Hayliner, and they arrived on Arrakis about a week later, and Lady Daphne was in the dining room at the time with the rest of her entourage present, having dinner when the news was broken to her by the security commander that Archibald and his wife had perished. Foul play is suspected, because of course it is, but they don't officially know the reasons why they were deceased, and they needed somebody from the house to go to the spaceport to claim their bodies, to authenticate that they are in fact who the guild are claiming they are. So obviously they would need next of kin to identify them.
Yeah, so Daphne opens the message, reads it, and everyone watching her can see her face just fall, and she starts to tear up a little bit. But I have some bad news. It appears as though my uncle and his lady wife met with misfortune on their way home from Caladan. I'll have to go directly to the spaceport. Please make the
Pardot.
arrangements. Also send a message to Nikolai of House Gliss. I promised to meet with him in 3 days, but I will be slightly delayed, and I hope he understands.
Of course. We'll say that not a week has passed, but like just a few days. I forgot about that. And also, it's not like the Hayliner has to go anywhere when it's off course. It can literally get to wherever it needs to go instantly, so they can afford a day or two. Sorry, go ahead.
Also, Erin's not here, but for when she gets back, I'm sending a message to Eloise. Like, they're not telling me anything, but, like, foul play just doesn't happen on a Highliner. So how did they both die?
What
Pardot,
the fuck, Eloise?
I believe you had some information that was imparted to you from Jabberwock. Something that was not directly intended for you. Did you pass that information along?
Oh.
You can cut and paste the message if you like, or you can interpret it and deliver it in character, or both, however you want to do it.
So, I'm gonna own this one. Yeah, Pardot, between the Harkonnens and the Fremen and everything, had neglected delivering this letter in the timely fashion that he should have. So when this information is received, it reminds him of the letter that he should have given to Daphne.
Perfect.
Earlier on, which is being sent now.
And now Lady Daphne is Tiberius.
You're all Tiberius.
But welcome, you are now Tiberius. Pick up your helmet from the weapons and armory.
It's a long message. I don't write short
very
messages.
Long letter. Imagining, instead of handing the letter off directly, when Pardot hears that Archibald is dead, he leans over into Lady Daphne's ear and whispers the entire letter verbatim.
Verbatim
into her ear.
Memorized it.
Perfect.
Perfect.
My deepest apologies. A letter was delivered earlier this week. Here it is.
So,
Whisper.
first paragraph is okay. That's weird. That's understandable. Oh, that's a problem. And then angry face. Do you have any further insights regarding this message, Marshal Reed?
Do we have any momentum in the pool?
Oh yes, you have 5.
5. I would like to spend 1 momentum to ask a true or false question using verify. I need not be making a skill test to obtain this information, and this can be just as much like a suspected feeling as much as a specific document or rumor. I would like to verify, is Archibald dead? True or false?
False.
False. Pardot whispers, by my calculations, the likelihood that he is truly deceased at this time is practically impossible. He cannot be dead, surely. I've played chops with him for many hours. His tactical mind is too keen to allow for such a lackluster demise, I'll say.
I agree with you, but for the benefit of whoever is putting on this performance, I will continue to cry.
As you will.
I would like to know who they have at the spaceport, but I think I will bring extra guards. Would you like to accompany me?
As much as I would, I am needed here. In my stead, I will send Tiberius.
He's a good soldier. Thank you. I'll leave immediately.
As you will. And Pardot, seeing as Tiberius is off in a siege somewhere, and the Fremen will not be ready to mobilize as Tiberius right now, immediately, Pardot runs to his quarters in his signature waddle and dresses as Tiberius.
Oh, I thought that was a signal for Zoshir to like.
I mean, if Zoshir is here, then
I'll say sure. Since you're both working
Zoshir's
together now, and the Duchess of the House is present for the last couple of days, I say it would only make sense to have you introduced formally.
Yeah, immediately after dinner concludes, Pardot takes Zoshir aside very quickly and simply says, I need you to accompany Lady Daphne as Tiberius along with the rest of the guards that we will be sending. Putting an immense amount of trust into you. Please ensure that our Duchess returns safely. You will be headed to the spaceport. Is this agreeable?
Yes. I've never been off of Arrakis before.
Oh, as I understand it, you will not be leaving Arrakis. You're simply surveying a body. Should not be much of a complication. This said, the body statistically cannot be the person that is being claimed to be dead. So be prepared. Be vigilant. I trust you. I believe in you. Here.
Bashir will
And
politely nod.
And mid-nod, Pardot puts the Tiberius helmet on Zoshir.
Perfect.
Dunk.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, this is gonna be really funny if Zoshir ever has to take the helmet off.
It's going to complicate everything.
I'm sure it is.
She's gonna think she's being kidnapped again.
You gather yourself now, because everybody who's present in the dining room table is part of the house. Masum is also present, as is Norma, and so on.
Daphne will say that she wants to spare Masum the trauma of seeing his dead uncle, but in reality, it's like, if this is a trap, he is nowhere near there.
Right. Yeah.
She'll also tell Norma what Pardot told her and why she is leaving Masum behind.
Okay. You all are gather yourselves, and the security commander sets up a detail to take you to the spaceport, effective immediately when you're ready. It's a contingent of ground cars that hover, wheelless over the ground on suspensors, and these guys are armed to the teeth. Like they work under Pardot, so they're part of like the former secret police group back on Jabberwock. So they're like crack shots, and they're excellent across the board. And they set up a security detail that leads forward, and you follow behind them, with one group going a separate direction entirely, sort of like as a decoy, so to speak. They go in two different directions. Eventually, you reach the spaceport, and the Hayliner sends down a shuttle with a couple guild representatives. It's a couple weird-looking types. You imagine they're like ship hands or something like that, or outlanders of some kind, but they look pretty rough. They don't look like the kind of folks you see inhabiting places like a guild Highliner. They start bringing out cargo, and among them is like this two long suspensor slabs that come out, and they are effectively coffins with bodies inside. As a quick aside, though, prior to this moment, Archibald, Reese and his men introduced to you to a poison. It doesn't taste like anything, but it works very well when it comes to creating the effects or the illusion of death within the human body. It slows down your heart rate, your breathing starts to become more and more shallow, everything starts to shut down, at least temporarily. And this can effectively, depending on the dosage, it could last anywhere of, from a couple days to like a week before you start to actually die and perish. They dose you just before they get you ready to go down to the planet's surface. So the trip through hyperspace, such as it were, was relatively uneventful, outside of the planning stages that took place when you arrived to Arrakis. And the Guild Navigator was very adroit in giving the information to Reese to convey to you and to Yeva. You and Yeva had a moment to yourselves within a chamber separate from the Guild Navigators, where she basically just reamed into you like you made a deal with exiles from Tupile and a rogue navigator.
Yeah.
I'm actually thinking we should have probably died. That would have been preferable to what the indignity that we're going to have to go through now. But I guess this is where we're at, isn't it? This is where we've arrived. You always seem to have a plan, Archibald. What is your plan going forward from now? You promised them atomics.
I did.
Are you going to deliver? Because if you do, we may be dooming ourselves in the process.
I know. And I was thinking about that too. But I do have a plan. Atomics will be the last thing we ever use. I plan to do this somewhat diplomatically here. To try to at least not spill as much blood as need be. If we have to go to war, we'll go to war. But I definitely think there's a way we can do this diplomatically.
And go to war with Tupile if we have to? There's no such thing. I say if we have the ear of this navigator, if we can get him to our side, he knows where to find them. If things go south for us, we use those atomics on all of them. Eradicate those exiles.
Well, it's definitely an option. Things don't go our way.
We have to keep that option on the table, as it were, Archibald. Think about the future, she says.
Believe me, I will. But I did, and whether you like to believe it or not, I know you're not the biggest fan of this. I did mean that I want to liberate Tupile.
Why?
Because it's not right. And on top of that, that is an untapped source of power that, honestly, no one has tapped into yet. Nobody even knows where it's at.
For strategic purposes, I understand, but you realize the risk that we run by doing this.
I never said it wasn't risky. But just think of the benefits of what if we succeed.
That's a very big if, Archibald. If we go to war with another house and we have need of a larger army than we currently have available to us.
See, this is where the Atreides come in.
Atreides.
Yeah. Whether you like to believe it or not,
alliance with them
do you really think House Carino is just going to give it up just like that? Do you really think this group's going to make him give up the throne? That's not going to happen.
Sense there's a plan behind the Atreides, right? Inheriting Arrakis.
100%. There's something going on. And I know there's something going on. It'll take a little patience, but they will go to war at one point. And then when we, right at that right moment,
we close the net. I certainly hope you know what you're doing, Archibald, both for our sake, my own personal sake, and our sake of the house.
I agree.
I can't believe I'm agreeing to this. And she's like, picks up the glass with the poison in it and says, bottoms up. And then you both proceed to get in your coffins.
Yep.
About an hour later, Reese's people come in and see, yep, it looks like they're dead. Put the coffins on top, power up the suspensors, and they start dragging you out. They bring out the two coffins before you, Daphne. And they're like, we need to ensure that to confirm the identity of those that were deceased. One of these ruffians says before allowing you access. Do you want to do? He says very bluntly, do you want to do it here or somewhere else?
Somewhere where there are fewer gawkers. He deserved that much at least.
Send him to the palace, he says. To somebody else.
Oh no!
It's getting good. Go away, Storm. Go.
Oh no, he's now part cyborg.
No.
Poor Eric. They've taken over the feed.
Stupid gremlins. God.
Now we'll never know if Archibald's actually dead.
I mean, I'm more worried about Yeva's baby.
I was thinking about that too, like drinking that poison. Yeah, I was thinking about that too, like, oh fuck, that's not good. It's honestly super stressful being Archibald's wife. I just have to say that.
I thought you were
there
gonna
he
say being
goes.
Archibald. Yeah.
No, Eric. No.
All right.
Oh, what was the sandstorm called again? The haboob.
The hub.
Oh, he's back. Hooray.
Sorry, apologies. We have
You're
It's
good.
fine.
Your cyborg parts took over. It's fine.
Very good. I think the last thing I said was that you're heading back to the palace, right?
Yes. And Daphne does the I want to talk to a manager. To
At the starport?
to whoever was in charge of security on the Highliner.
Okay. To your surprise, it's not a guild representative. It's some sort of mercenary. He doesn't give you his name.
May I do some sort of insight check? Sorry.
Sure. What is the purpose of the insight?
I want to see if there's. I mean, this is obviously a mercenary. Are the other people who are accompanying this person also not professionals at taking care of dead dignitaries?
No, a lot of them look like hired hands. They don't look like official guilds, personnel. But there are some that appear to have like the dress of the guild with the little guild infinity pin on their lapels and such moving around. But many of them wear masks or things like that to obscure their face, as they typically do in the guild. If only you had a representative of the guild with you right now. I had an in with the guild. That'd be so cool.
Jeez.
Dang it.
We miss you, Great Cthulhu.
So, what I would like to do is, and I can do a communication roll for this if you'd like. I thought that nobles could travel in safety on a guild highliner. That's the promise you make to the Imperium as a whole. So how did a husband and wife wake up dead and nobody knows how they died?
We work for the guild. We're not a detective. We're not investigators in any way. We found them that way in their quarters. We suspect that they may have been poisoned, possibly prior to their trip. I would say, look to Caladan and ask the Atreides, since that was their last known destination.
And I'll certainly make sure that they both get a very thorough autopsy. Thank you and good day.
Good day.
Was there anything I could pick up from that exchange?
Yeah, go ahead and, well, you can give me a, discipline, observation.
Okay.
Give me 2 or higher.
Sorry, so many windows to click back and forth from. Oh. Damn it.
He comes off as like your typical mercenary, so you don't suspect anything outrageous or anything like that with him. You're just like, okay, yeah, he's just some scummy, hire on that the guild needed for whatever reason, an auxiliary or what have you. Like, he's just there to just kind of tell you and to handle, freight off of the Hayliner, and your uncle and his wife just happened to be part of that freight today. So he's not, an envoy or anything like that for the guild. You do notice that the guild ship itself is actually suspiciously low on personnel. Like, there's usually like a bustling of activity and check-ins and stuff like that happens at the spaceport, and there's none of that with this. They're just like, hey, we're offloading shit, we're leaving, we're gone, goodbye. Like, it's very in and out. But you notice that the the Hayliner itself receives the shuttle, but it's in no hurry, and this is not unusual. It's not in a hurry to go anywhere.
Alright, Daphne will go to Tiberius next.
Mhm.
I've decided that's Soshir's name when he's in Tiberius mode. And just rest a hand on his arm and say, Marshal Reed doesn't think they're dead, and I've promised them both a very thorough autopsy. I don't know what effect this will have on them, but stay alert.
There will be a nod, but no sound uttered from from underneath the disguise.
Dr. Sloan has returned with you to the palace, so you could have your suit doctor perform the autopsy in their quarters, in their lab, so to speak, if you wish it.
Yes.
Very good. I'm gonna say that probably takes place like in the basement area. I'm not sure where that would be in the residency's grand scheme of things, but I would imagine that's where it would take. So Dr. Sloan would be there, and let me see. So Sheer accompanying, and we have Pardot, I would imagine, would be there as well, along with Daphne. Where's Daphne? Here we go. It's a party. All right, so you all arrive back at the palace, and the security captain brings you down to have the bodies, exhumed and autopsied. He tries to wait for a good time to sort of lean into you, Daphne, and ask you, like, were you wanting to have a public funeral within the next few days or within the next week or so?
Yes, please. No matter how they died, they both deserve to be laid to rest with all due respect and pomp to their station.
Here at your grace, on Arrakis? Or on Jabberwock?
We will have a small family service here, but I believe his loyal soldiers would want the chance to publicly grieve him on Jabberwock.
Okay. So you'll have the funeral on Arrakis, but then eventually you'll the idea is to ship the bodies back to Jabberwock to be buried officially. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Dr. Sloan gets to work. He opens up the coffins. And, yeah, sure enough, there's Archibald and his wife, Yeva, and they both appear to be dead. They're like, all right, well, where should I begin then? I'm terribly sorry, Your Grace. What were you given any sort of information by the guild, whether or not they were attacked in any way?
The minor functionary that I was left to deal with wants me to believe that he was poisoned on Caladan. The Atreides being such famous utilizers of that method of dealing with their allies?
That seems rather unusual, yes. I can check. I can check here. For sure. And he like brings out like a snooper, which is like a big industrial one that just kind of comes down from the top of the ceiling and like scans the body, and just sort of like it immediately, like as it's scanning the body, it comes back with like a result, and it's like it shows like a light in specific areas of the scan. It's like these two were poisoned, definitely. Here's the interesting thing.
Yes.
And he's like, put your hand here. And like he takes your hand and like gently puts it like around a certain area around where the carotid artery is, and like you feel a very faint, like only your hyper awareness is able to make you feel the pulse coming from Their heartbeat is very, very faint, but it is there. Archibald and his wife are still alive.
Can you save
Pardot
them?
was correct.
So, at this point, Daphne thinks that, they bad poison, so she'll ask Dr. Sloan, can you save them?
I don't think they need to be saved. He's a soup doctor. I mean, he opens their mouths and he takes a swab and he looks at something under like a different spectrum light and he's like, oh, I've seen this before, Your Grace. This is not a true poison, not the kind that you're perhaps already familiar with. That'll paralyze, destroy nerves, and kill individuals in seconds flat. This is a more slow-acting compound that was introduced to them orally, from what I can tell. So possibly in a drink or some sort of meal that was taken on board the Highliner, because they've not been dead or in this state currently for more than 24 hours or so. How should we proceed? I feel this is part of some greater deception, perhaps.
Indeed. I would like you to spend as much time here as would be necessary to conduct 2 thorough autopsies. And I would like for this room to remain locked against everyone except myself, Marshal Reed, and certain other high-ranking members of the House. We do this, of course, to protect the dignity of the dead until the bodies can be properly washed, dressed, and returned to, or rather laid to rest. And then I suppose we'll see either who wakes up or who comes knocking.
Agreed. Very well. We shall proceed then. I'll keep them here as long as necessary. You can go ahead and make your plans to have this funeral. I'm assuming you want it to be a closed casket affair, yeah?
Please.
Of course. It'll be done. Does anybody else want to do anything while you're in the room with the doctor? Update on Archibald, he's still dead.
I can't say shit, so.
Archibald,
Daphne.
squeeze my hand. Sorry.
Daphne will say, well done, Mr. Reed. Correct on all counts. But who wants us? Who wants us to think that Archibald is dead?
That's a
Or
great question.
who knows enough about the house to know this is how we would react? And Archibald is trusting us to make the world think he's dead.
Excellent questions.
I suppose we'll have to wait for them to come too.
You see, Sloan is just like, they'll probably be coming about, within the next 8 to 12 hours, I suspect. I can expedite their awakening if you wish, Your Grace.
Can you do that without risk to their health?
I can, yes.
Then please.
He gets a couple things together and he injects each one of them with some sort of a solution. That should do it. It's starting to course through their body. It'll counteract part of the initial poison, and it'll start to awaken them perhaps maybe 3.5 to 4 hours from now. If you'd like to be present when they come to.
I would, yes.
Very well, I'll send someone to retrieve you, and your company, of course.
Thank you.
When you're ready. What do the rest of you do?
Zoshir is going to check on their persons for a possible note. If perhaps Archibald or Yeva had the chance to attempt writing a note and keeping it in a pocket or something.
Interesting idea. You don't find anything of the sort on Yeva. I don't imagine he finds anything of the sort on Archibald as well.
No. I think he's smart enough. Okay. Yeah, no, I think he would have thought of this to be able to talk to Daphne.
Sure.
Probably, like, without anybody.
Sounds good. All right. So without further ado, Dr. Sloan says, like, okay, well, I'll go ahead and lock the door. You're all welcome to stay or to leave the premises as you wish. I'll continue to do my work, and then when they're ready to come to, I'll send word for any one of you who has other things to do in the meantime. Daphne, where do you go from here?
Oh, goodness. She has a lot to get done. Oh! So, she does go check on, the recovering torture victim.
Mm-hmm.
Get your freak on.
I need to tell him something!
You seem to have been afforded a, this is in the evening, of course, a balcony scene, a balcony, room on the palace. So this is the vista that you get when you go into your quarters. You notice he's not there, but when you look towards the doors that lead out into the balcony, he's standing there just sort of overlooking the city that he's so familiar with.
Daphne will walk up beside him and ask, "What does it make you think?"
Many things. Mostly I'm nervous about this other house that is arriving soon, the Atreides.
So it is the Atreides.
You didn't know? He seems to take a little bit of personal satisfaction in, like, letting you know what is happening in your world.
I heard rumors of the changeover. The Atreides make sense.
You know them?
You have far less to fear from them than you do the Harkonnen. I promise you the Atreides have no torture dungeons among them.
I certainly hope that is the case. There have been many things said about the Atreides in particular within my community, my people. Nevertheless, it is talk for another conversation, perhaps. He kind of leans on the balcony a little bit, and he looks at you, and he's like, I hope I am not becoming a pest in your dwelling.
You are welcome here for as long as you care to stay.
I don't remember. Did you give him your name?
Yes.
Okay. So he attempts to call you by that name. It's like my official title is Naive, but you can call me Stilgar. People close to me call me Still. What do I call you Duchess? Your Highness? I'm not sure.
If I'm allowed to call you Still, you may call me Daphne.
Good. Very good.
There's something that you should know about what the Harkonnen are going to try and leave this planet a farewell gift for. I don't quite understand your people's relationship with the sandworms, but
he straightens up a little.
I'm told that there is An albino Leviathan in the southern desert?
The old man. Yes.
The Harkonnen want to destroy it.
Of course they do.
They are working on a plan to do so. And I will tell him everything that I learned at the meeting.
Excellent. So, you've just divulged a lot of useful information about the Harkonnens and what their plans are to one of the heads of the, like one of the
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Leaders of the Fremen. So, go ahead and do you have access to the House Cheshire character sheet?
Yes, I do. Hey, look at that. And everybody know that's Norma's sheet. House Cheshire. Yes, I do.
I don't think there's a tab here for traits. Oh no, there is a trait there. We can probably use this sheet, or you can use your own sheet. But it applies to everyone who's part of House Cheshire.
Mm-hmm.
You can put down friendly with the Fremen. And what this allows you to do is anytime someone from House Cheshire interacts with the Fremen, no matter if it's Siege Tabir or Hagaharg, any difficulty they encounter will be one less than normal, especially when it comes to communication or anything like that. Because once he gets that information to his people, like they're gonna see you as a potential ally, and that's just step number one. When that trait changes and it becomes like ally or like super friends or whatever you want to call it, like then the value or the quality of that trait will go up exponentially. And in other words, it'll make things a lot easier for you when it comes to dealing with the Fremen. Similarly, or conversely, the same. Yes, conversely, the same is true.
My ambition.
Oh, good. So that earns you some advancement points. Conversely, though, the same is true for the Harkonnen. So the more you undermine the Harkonnens, or the more you eliminate their personnel, the more you're going to earn a trait with them, which is similar make with the Fremen, but instead of it being like, oh, you're friendly with the Harkonnen, you're like untrusted by the Harkonnens, loathed by the Harkonnens, and so on.
Okay.
Currently, they're still investigating the death of their mentat, but once that investigation is over, you can probably imagine that is one trait that House Cheshire will also earn, in addition to this alliance, this building or budding alliance with the Fremen. He's like,
honestly, Daphne would not have done this, except he just confirmed the Atreides are about to move in. So she's like, okay, I just have to keep us alive for a couple months. I can do that.
He's like, do you have a way that I can construct a message for my siege?
I have a communinet.
He looks at it and he's like, something a little more discreet, perhaps. And he tells you, like, on Arrakis they use animals to convey weapons. So he's like, do you have a distran? And you're like, a what? I have no idea what he's talking about.
We have
well, actually,
cats.
you might. If you make an obscure understand roll, you might know what he's referencing, because it's not used very often in places just like this. But he's like perhaps a Redulian crystal or something that I can encode a message on.
Do we have those crystals?
Yeah, I'll say that's pretty common use. Yeah.
Then, yeah, I'll have one provided for him.
Okay, he's going to create an asset. Can't in game terms, but he's basically creating a very important message, and he's recording it in secret onto this crystal. And he's like, if I give you the coordinates, can you deliver this to my siege?
Is it
probably going. It is.
Should I deliver it myself, or would sending a servant?
I don't recommend that you do this yourself. You should send someone you trust, someone in your employ, who perhaps is very familiar with the Fremen, with my people.
Tiberius! His name is Tiberius. I'm sure he will see it done.
Thank you. When he gives you the crystal, he makes this hand notion with his hands. Like it's a very subtle gesture, but when he does it, like it seems to convey like a personal thank you, or it's like almost like a ritual that is being performed, as you know, he's indicating to you that he trusts you and that he's done talking to you for right now. Like he's just gonna go and he's gonna go and like look out the window for a while.
Okay.
You summon your retinue with this new information, or who do you not summon? I guess I should ask.
So I will ask Pardot. Pardot, I have a job for Tiberius.
I see. I will inform her at once. What task do you need performed?
Our new friend has a crystal he would like delivered to a siege, so it should probably be someone discreet.
It will be done. Do you have the crystal with you? And Pardot holds out a hand.
I will hand it off to Pardot.
Excellent.
Okay.
Pardot, you summon Tiberius to you and task him
Tiberius,
with this.
Yes.
I'll also tell him the coordinates of where the siege is supposed to be, which I'm sure will be real fun for Soshia when he figures that out.
So you summon Tiberius, and the Greek choir known as Tiberius shows up, and they're like, yes.
All of the Tiberii, okay. And Pardot realizes immediately, with like a room of just masked figures, that this is even worse of a security breach than just like, oh, the Fremen are here. Now it's all masked Fremen, all named Tiberius, and he's just realized, oh, I've made a terrible mistake. Anyway,
I may have miscalculated just a little.
we need to put like a dot code on the back of everyone's collar to like signify who's who. We'll have that organized at a later date. I need this crystal delivered to this siege.
So, which Tiberius are you requesting this of?
Zoshir, of course.
Zoshir, most likely, yes.
Perfect. Zoshir will step up and take said crystal. Is this in the presence of Lady Daphne, or later on?
Pardot would have wrapped up the conversation with Lady Daphne, a little bow, and like, it will be done.
Yeah, Daphne trusts Pardot. Like, I gave him a thing, it'll get done.
Yeah.
Right. He walks off, gathers the Tiberii, hands it off to Zoshir, points on his map, which is an asset that Pardot has of where the siege is, just for maximum clarity of like, yes, this siege at these coordinates.
How did you come by this map?
This map, I have been running surveys across the planet using ornithopters, and I've been personally assembling this map.
Sounds legit, doesn't it, Zoshir?
Yeah, Zoshir's gonna take a mental note of this, and if he sees any specific marks on the map, or I don't know, the sieges that are not supposed to be known about.
It's like a quality 0 map, so it's like the most obvious sieges and the places that we already know exist, right? Like, it's the most obvious locations. It is.
But it is updated.
Nothing special. Constantly updated, but just like.
Well, here's the question: is Siege Tiberius on the map?
Indeed it is. Well, I mean, it's not known as on any map, any of these sieges, but the coordinates that you were given have you going from here to here. And yes, on this map it is noted as Siege Tiberii, but yeah, this is where they're having you go.
Interesting.
And just like, or do you take anyone with you? Number one, and number two, what time of day do you go? During the daytime or during the nighttime?
Nighttime, always, and probably Hurdy to keep her out of trouble.
Okay, we're going on another trip. All right, I'm driving. No, just kidding. I can't drive.
I have my own golden retriever.
She gets in the co-pilot seat. And she's like, oh, it's the first time, getting into one of these, and in this position. Rather, you take off into the night and head out towards Tiberii. It takes several hours to get over there. So in the meantime, somebody wakes up in the bowels of the Arakeen Palace. Archibald, your eyes awaken, and the light seems to be almost too much at first, as it's just like filtering into your corneas, and you're like, you have a massive headache, like your whole body's tingly, and it feels exhausted and achy all at the same time. You and Yeva groan a little bit, and even though you're still lying in your coffins, you hear Yeva close by. She's like, Archibald, can you hear me?
That I can, my love.
Archibald, you should know, I absolutely hate you with every fiber of my being. You're awake! You hear somebody's voice from the other side of the room. Oh, they're finally awake. Welcome back to the land of the living, General Archibald. And your lovely wife, of course, Countess Yeva. Is that correct? And you see Yeva like her eyes are still adjusting. It's like, who's this fop?
Sloan. Seems Lady Daphne's smarter than she looks.
Hey.
Yeah, but there definitely doesn't seem to agree, but well, at least we're alive. Gods. And you see someone's like, oh, hold on, don't try to move too much. I promised her grace that I would tell her that you're awake and well for the time being. You see, she's like, and she like, Yeva points to something on the other side of the room, and he's like, what? Oh, this? Going like this, and he brings over what seems to be like some sort of a container, like a suitcase or something like that, and she just barfs right into it. Oh, I could probably give you something for that. And it's like, no, you can't, she answers very quickly. And it's like, oh, and summon your precious Duchess, she says. Archibald, your eyes are finally starting to adjust. You see Sloan, and you're in the medical area of the palace, and he's like, go get the Duchess and bring her down and her entourage down here right away. You get something on your communinet, Daphne, and it's Dr. Sloan's like, they're awake, they're awaiting you on the bottom of the
I head straight there.
Who else do you bring with you?
Question. Would I have a communicator for the people that are on the ship? Would I still have that two-way radio that I rigged? No? Okay.
This is a professional operation, so to speak.
Yeah, Daphne would bring Norma, Pardot, a couple guards in case Archibald's trying anything funny.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You arrive. Yeva's still disheveled and her eyes are still adjusting, but you arrive and you see you're face to face now in the same room. Archibald and Daphne.
I will also bring them both some water.
Appropriate. She gargles it, spits them out on her side, and then drinks the rest.
Thank you.
That's an offensive waste of water on this planet, you should know.
Oh, thank you for the knowledge, she says sarcastically and looks to Archibald to do the talking.
Good morning, Uncle. You gave me quite a scare.
I could tell.
Would you like to explain what's going on?
Yeah. Might as well tell you the truth. So, I don't know how you'll react to this, but we'll see where it goes.
Before you begin, Yeva gives you the stare. Like, don't overplay your hand. You're gonna fuck it up if you do. Don't fuck this up.
I won't.
Well, the truth is always worth knowing.
Well, obviously something did happen on the Hayliner, if you haven't noticed. Just so happens that the Hayliner was hijacked.
By whom?
The most unlikely person ever. This is funny, by the way. It's hilarious.
Are you about to tell me that Davos hijacked a Highliner?
Oh, he was there, by the way. So we know that, by the way.
Is he still alive?
So, remember
Is
Omelis?
Davos still alive?
Yep,
Change the subject
Davos is
quick.
still alive.
Alright. Go on, who, in their right mind, would hijack a Highliner?
Omelis Dothier.
Dorothea?
Dothier.
Omelis.
Mhm.
Well, seeing as how I cut Omelis loose several months ago for insufficient service and he joined your household, I think that makes this your problem.
That is correct, but that also explains why he wanted to join my house so quickly, as you would say. I knew he was up to something. I didn't think he was going to do this. But
Why?
live and learn.
So what order did you give him that he misinterpreted to be hijack a Highliner for me?
Maybe he has something against the Atreides.
I'm sorry, Yeva says. Are you insinuating that the loyal servant of House Cheshire who has served your house for generations would suddenly leave and then concoct some sort of a plan to hijack a Highliner?
Perhaps
For
you
what
missed-
purpose?
Perhaps you missed the part where Omelis failed to find not one, but two traitors in my household which cost the life of my mother and will cost the life of my sister.
Oh, I wasn't aware that Omelis was in charge of security. I thought that was Pardot Reed's purview.
Well, Omelis is now in charge of your security.
Hardly. He's more of a annoyance, an advisor, or so he calls himself.
I'm curious. What makes you think it was actually Omelis?
She defers to Archibald.
What makes you think it was Omelis? Did he tell you this? Was he on the
No.
Highliner?
No. The hijackers did.
Oh, the hijackers told you it was Omelis. What proof did they provide?
Unrefined spice. And who was at Arrakis?
So Daphne, at this point, will lean over to Pardot and whisper, "Did we ever figure out who stole the spice brag?"
He would know because Tiberius reported everything that happened out there. with Amira and the Fremen. So Pardot has all the knowledge that for everything that occurred in that time, including the brooch that belongs to one of the Off-Cardis twins, if I'm not mistaken.
It's completely possible I may not have been there for that one session where we found who took the spice bribe.
Oh,
it's completely possible.
You were there, but I think you were playing as Tiberius.
You were playing dumb, like
would have been
super dumb.
Tiberius
I messaged
would
it
have
to
been
you.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
But yeah, what ended up happening? Just to sum it up, Zoshir, Amira, the other Fremen, and Tiberius, Amira, and the Fremen tracked down the people responsible, because one of the Fremen was kidnapped by them and taken to this place, and they had to cross the Coriolis storm to get to the place. And once they found it, they got into a skirmish with the folks there. And long story short, they got into a chase. They crashed in the middle of the storm. A worm came, and Zoshir mounted the worm and then steered it onto the one lone person that was running away from the crash site with the spice bribe. And when they discovered their identity, they turned him over and they checked his body, and nobody knew him except for Tiberius, who saw his face once way back in season 2. And it happens to be a nobleman by the name of Milos of Cardes, the man with the magnificent mustache. And he had the brooch that had the symbol, the heraldry of House of Cardes on it. So he had like the spade and like the clubs and like the hearts, and, like that.
And seeing as none of this is really like information that would endanger Daphne for even knowing, he provides all of it verbatim. Just
okay.
A lot of fast whispering and like rapid eye movements.
Yeah.
Are house language.
Daphne will grip Pardot by the arm extremely hard and say, "Are you absolutely sure it was off Cardis?"
As certain as I trust Tiberius.
Eric, can I figure out the thing that I messaged you? Do I have enough information to put it all together?
Not yet.
Okay.
It's a good theory, though.
Okay.
How do you react to Yeva and Archibald with this information having been known now?
So, it seems that an old enemy of our house is up to their old tricks and trying to turn us against each other.
Yeva gives us this tired look and says, "Convenient."
And that really kind of questioned me too, because you let Omelis go as well. So this looks to me points the finger just as much to you, because you let Omelis go. I don't know if you did something like this.
Do you think that someone with my history, my very personal history, would stoop to murdering the only family I have left?
Certainly not, but I also know that people do a lot of crazy shit for power. And knowing my track record, knowing my history, I was in prison because of someone like that.
Because of them?
Yeah.
Because of this very house?
At one point off Cardis, we trusted them. So please.
Whoever your new friends spoke to was someone probably claiming to be Omelis. You should probably have that conversation with him.
Oh, believe me. I plan to.
And it's at this point that we will shift over to Zoshir. You're flying over the shield wall. and finding a place at night to land the ornithopter safely. You and Hurdy make your way down into the area with a paracompass and a map and all the coordinates that were given to you by this person. Gave Daphne some sort of a thing to deliver to the Fremen. You've heard of some of the sieges out this way. You know the territory that you're in. This is Stilgar's territory. So this is area where you're not necessarily an enemy, but certainly this Fremen here would find you and be like, "What are you doing here?" You know, since you're on the other side of the shield wall. Still, you would be considered an ally, fellow Fremen. You pick your way through the rocks, and you make your way down, and you never see them coming. But as you make your way down into the area that leads into Siege Tabir, Hurdy is grabbed by a couple of unseen hands, and as soon as you turn around, someone comes up and puts 2 blades to your neck and pins you up against the wall before you can react. You wordlessly have like the crystal in your possession. Somebody like fishes into your pockets and retrieves it and says in your language, like, "Who is this from? Who are you? What are you doing here?"
Do not know who it is from. I am merely delivering it at the behest of one of the houses in Arkeen, House Cheshire. I am Zoshir Tamer of Siege Hagaharg.
It's a hollow. The voice of the guy behind you has the blades up to your neck, says, Put it in the machine." And you see one of the other Fremen that are there. He takes out this device and puts in the crystal, and out comes this holographic image, a hollow recording of this man with a somewhat emaciated face and a beard. And he's starting to speak, but the audio has been cut off. Or as soon as the audio starts, they're like, cut off the audio. And it's him. He's alive. Still's alive, you hear the guy behind you say. And he's like, the guy who's nearby, one of the women actually says, "Let him go. They're allies." And you see the guy who has you with the 2 blades, like, "Are you sure?" "Yes." He eases up on you a little bit. He takes away the blades, and he takes his mask off for a second when he looks at you as you're heading into the siege. "Come. If you're allies of Still, you're allies of us. Come inside."
Still as in Stilgar?
"Yes. You know him?" "Yeah."
I do not. I know of him.
"Any friend of Still's is a friend of mine," he says. And he grabs you by the arm like the warrior's clasp. He's like,
You'll return that gesture.
He's like, "Name's Duncan. Nice to meet you." Now I'll cut away for a moment. Somewhere at night on the starport in Arkeen, Reese and his men depart the ship, and they make their way in a ground car towards part of the city that is has a ill repute, shall we say. And when they arrive, they don't know exactly where to go. They drive to this large mound of garbage. Detritus left over from husks of ships that are just lying there like dead hulks. Old ground cars that have been abandoned. And you see, as they emerge, there's a lone figure standing there, waiting for them. Shrouded in darkness. Reese approaches them. They're armed, of course. "Do you have my money? Where's the spice?" "I do, in fact, have your money," the voice says in return. "Here you are," he gestures. And off to the side, there's several cases. Reese gives the order for his men to examine the merchandise, as it were. He turns back to the man in the shadows. "What do you gain by this? What is this game that you're playing? I'm getting involved with all these different houses now. This wasn't part of the plan. plan was to kill Archibald and deliver him to you, and we've done that. And as a bonus, we even threw in his wife. They're gonna announce his funeral coming up soon. They're gonna have it here in Arakeen, but supposedly they're gonna send the bodies back to Jabberwock or wherever. Good, the other person says. Perfect. As they start to go undoing the clasps on the cases, it explodes, killing all of them instantly. Reese turns around and then turns back, but it's already too late. A silent weapon goes off in the man's hand, and he gets 3 little neat barbs, poison barbs, in his chest. Reese looks down in disbelief and looks back up. You'll pay for this. No, comes the response. I already have. And Reese dies. And that's where we'll stop.
Why'd you do this to me, Eric?
Fuck.
All right.
Who was that?
I have my suspicions.
I'm sure you do. That's all the time that we have for this session. I hope everyone here and those watching enjoyed the show. We will continue our adventures into the Imperium next Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Beginning with Leo. Let all the good people here know who you are and where they can find you online and who you play this evening.
Hello, my name is Leo. You can find me at Leo of the Black on Twitter and Twitch, doing my own thing. Yeah, but oh my god, that game, holy Jesus. That cliffhanger, man. But anyways, I played Archibald today. So, yeah, it was fun. I loved it.
Awesome. Glad you enjoyed it. Key.
Hello. I am Pardot Reed. I'm also Kisama. You can find me on Twitter at TrueKisama. And behind a Denays near you.
Excellent. Ambrose.
Hey everybody, I have enjoyed playing Zoshir Tamir for you, and I am on the edge of my freaking seat. And it's going to be another week before I can find out who the heck that was. If we even find out who the heck that was, before we investigate who the heck... Anyway, my god, so good. Anyway, yeah, everywhere, Am Changeling, somewhere, Thornkind, that would be Etsy. And I will see you Monday for... I almost said Dune Age. Dragon Age!
Excellent. And last but not least, of course, Rachel.
Hello. I'm Rachel. I'm Stolen Fires pretty much everywhere on the internet. Boy, did we all misinterpret Jason Momoa as Santa Claus gif.
Yeah. Fucking no, Lord.
Yeah, as far as when you will see me next, that will be Monday when I'm running Dragon Age from 3 o'clock Pacific, so that's 6 p.m. Eastern. And then later in the evening at 7 Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern, we will be running Curse of Strahd. She is the Ancient, and then come by on Wednesday. This Wednesday I will be Plastic Age Plays doing some D&D, and then Dune next week. That was intense. I need a drink or a cigarette or maybe both, and I don't even smoke.
Thank you.
Fucking nuts.
Well, I've been Eric, aka at Modern Recluse Online. You can find me back here, of course, on Friday night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Big thanks, as always, to our viewers and fans for tuning in. And this time, I'm going to get the closing thing right. Never sit with your back to the door. Always remember your shield emitter, and be careful with whom you trust. For in the game of houses, nothing is truly as it seems. Good night, everyone.